Crap damn, celestial beings, this was supposed to be my Pride Month video. I'm deeply sorry for the delay in this coming out. This was supposed to be a timely reflection on watching Yuri anime about girls fencing, and it didn't end up getting released on time because not once, not twice, but 4 times I got copyright claims from King Records Limited, the owners of the Adolescence of Utena film. So the version that you are seeing right now is a compromised version of the thing I wanted to make. I'm very sad about this. Honestly, the editing of the original version is some of the best cutting I think I've ever done. I'm not going to pretend I'm a genius at this, but I was really proud of how it turned out, and unfortunately, YouTube just isn't going to let me upload it here. It is available on my Patreon. There's a link below in the doobly-doo, but please feel free to watch this version. No pressure. I'm still happy with the changes we made. Ren did some really cool bylighting edits to the screenshots that we used, since any version of animation it just wasn't accepting. So if the parts talking about the Utena movie either have weird filters over them or are just screenshots, there's a good reason why. Thank you so much for your patience, and I hope you... Greetings, celestial beings. It's me, Celeste, and we're here with another Pride Month. I know that my big video is still coming along. I apologize that it's taking a while, but I'm doing my best to make everything I'm doing worth it. In the meantime, I did want to make something for Pride Month, partly because, let's be honest, it's not easy for any of your LGBT brethren right now. It's been a rough last couple years, and while personally this Pride Month has been less stressful than last year, I know it hasn't been the same for everyone in our community. So I just wanted to put something out, partly because of that, and partly because I had very fortuitous timing this month. One of which I'm sure was something someone planned for, but the other, I don't know if anyone could have. So, in the last couple weeks, I watched both the Revue Starlight movie for the first time ever, and it was great. And I also watched the Revolutionary Girl Utena movie, also known as Adolescence of Utena, which, to my joy, was playing on a big screen at a theater within driving distance from me. It was transcendent. I don't know if I've ever been so pleased with an experience of a film that I've seen before on a big screen. And I kind of wanted to talk about that, because these two series have a lot in common, and it's not just a lot, and I mean a lot, of Yuri fandom coupled with swords. Although there's that too. That's absolutely a thing. For the uninitiated, let me lay down what both series are. Revolutionary Girl Utena was a series that was created by a group called Bee Papas, which was headed by Kunihiko Ikuhara. You'll know him as the director of seasons 2 through 4 of Sailor Moon, and a guy I just will not stop talking about. The main thrust of Utena, pun definitely intended, follows Utena Tenjo, a character who longs to be her ideal prince. When she is brought into dueling matches at her school over Anthe Himamiya, also known as the Rose Bride. Whoever wins the sword duel is destined to be Anthe's betrothed. And after Utena initially just stands up for Anthe because she's being abused, she is dragged into these antics along with the machinations of a deeply emotionally disturbed student council and all of the embodiments of predatory growing up and predatory masculinity that you might possibly see in any work of fiction. It's one of my favorite anime that I've ever seen. And the film, Adolescence of Utena retells the story, changing a lot of things like the setting, aesthetics of the characters, how surreal the frickin' school is, which is saying something because the TV version is pretty surreal in its own right, and even the ages of some characters. Meanwhile, Revue Starlight is a series that I have referred to as Utena's spiritual little sister, something of its Zoomer sibling who's really into musical theater. Revue Starlight is also set in a high school. It also is about coming of age with a group of extremely sapphic girls, but the only predatory male presence is a pretentious talking giraffe. I promise you it makes sense in context.
わかります。
The girls not only are struggling to become top-tier performers, but have that drive to become a true star, the truest of stage girl tested by said pretentious giraffe in duels called revues, wherein the girls are forced to sing and sword fight with each other to decide who will be the ultimate stage girl. Okay, so I guess the parallels are pretty clear here. While Utena's movie, though, is a retelling and reimagining of the same story, the Revue Starlight movie is more of an epilogue, taking a bunch of the remaining plot threads from the TV series, following up on them, and paying off all of those ideas in really satisfying ways. Revue Starlight the movie might be my favorite after-the-fact anime finale movie I've ever seen. It isn't just a finale to an existing series that already had a frankly great finale, but it takes a lot of those remaining plot threads and character relationships and somehow manages to tie them up without it feeling tidy. It wraps it up in a way that makes you feel complete, but still keeps the messy feelings that made the character so interesting in the first place intact, which is no small feat. So both of these movies are wonderful. They're perfectly timed for Pride Month, and I was hoping that maybe I could come up with some connection watching the two so closely together. I mean, again, both are wrestling with some very similar themes. At the end of the day, both are movies about coming into your own and becoming an adult in a world that isn't necessarily kind to whatever your goals are. Be those goals the cutthroat world of show business, or just trying to love the way you want to when that's not what society deems okay. On that same note, I don't want to squish them together in a way that undercuts how great both of these films and separate storylines are. It's dismissive to say that one is a clone of the other, because one, it's just abjectly not true, but it also, I think, undervalues just how great both of these titles are in their own right. Just because Revue Starlight owes a lot to Utena doesn't change the fact that both of them are brilliant pieces of art, and also doesn't change the fact that both of them owe a lot to things like Rose of Versailles and Princess Knight. This is just part of how art informs the next generation of art, and I think that's beautiful. What's objectively different between these two films is the level of horny that they achieve. Adolescence of Utena is not breaking my streak of incredibly horny anime movies that I've seen in a theater in the last year, and it absolutely adds to it. This is not me saying that it shouldn't be this, because it's part of what makes the film so strong and so uncomfortable and uncanny. All of the characters' emotions are very raw, and the visuals that they use to depict those emotions are suitably uncomfortable. It leaves you with a visceral feeling of discomfort, sometimes with just lingering on a piece of foliage in the foreground or a painting that they've just kind of zoomed past before, until you finally are just left with only that and the rest of a black screen. It handles sexuality in a way that's true to being a teenager, where it is this uncomfortable thing overwhelming and you might not fully understand. Maybe it seems kind of scary by comparison. And it's part of what makes Adolescence such an interesting film. Comparatively, I don't necessarily want to say Revue Starlight is chaste, but it's not handling things in the same direction. I mean, also being an artsy movie, Revue Starlight decides to have all of the characters work out their remaining plot threads and angst with each other through one more review duel. Most of these duels throughout the movie are done between the pairs that the girls formed throughout the TV series, except Kaoruko, who, before getting to her review proper, almost outright pulls Claudine aside to do a Yakuza bit that boils down to, okay, but seriously, did you my butch? The other interesting point of comparison has to be how these two films both still assume that you're familiar with the TV series that they're based on. Now, in the case of Revue Starlight the movie, this makes perfect sense since this is a continuation. This is the next chapter in their story, and it is building off of the events that you saw in the TV series. Utena, it's a little bit more heady because this isn't a sequel. This isn't a continuation. This is a retelling. But because the movie's just a little bit over an hour and a half long, it does kind of assume you know things about what the character types are for the mains from Utena, and puts that in place while still changing a lot of their background or certain establishing things about them to explore the same story ideas from a slightly different point of view. At the end of the day, though, what's great about both of these movies is their optimism in the face of abject terror. In the case of Revue Starlight, the angst that the girls are feeling about the idea of graduating and no longer being in high school together boils a whole lot of ugly feelings to the surface and makes characters who had always been paired off with each other question whether or not they can continue to maintain those relationships. We get some really powerful scenes of not wanting to lose someone, accepting that you might be replaced in the heart of someone you truly love, or letting someone go, but in a way that still allows them to be in that part of your heart that you can never actually let go of. There's an optimism in Revue Starlight. Despite the angst, despite the terror that comes with growing up and moving to the next stage of your life, all of the girls still find something that's worth living for and moving forward with. They move across eventually a post-apocalyptic looking setting and still say, this is where I choose to make my stand. And it's there where I want to move back to Utena, a movie that I watched more recently, but also ties in perfectly. Anthe and Utena in the film feel almost more smothered by their surroundings and the expectations placed upon them than in the TV series, and this is only aided by both the MC Escher-esque design of the school in the movie, along with the complicated and claustrophobic shots of people being kind of squeezed together in this overfull place. And all of this is also squeezed into a short runtime, which only adds to that claustrophobic feeling. The characters are forced to be the things that they don't want to be, but it is when Anthe meets Utena that she finally starts to reject that and make decisions for herself. When they choose to leave, to no longer be part of the academy, to no longer be part of this stifling world, and we get the insane car sequence from the end of the film, suddenly the Rosa Versailles aesthetics are all but gone as we see the girls traveling on a Mad Max-esque dystopia, being surrounded by on all sides by evil living cars and driving down a claustrophobic highway in the hopes of escaping the world that's being forced upon them. Even the majestic sky castle that was supposed to grant wishes ends up being a symbol of trapping these girls in a future, in a destiny that they don't want. It is actually within the post-apocalyptic destruction off of the roads, when our girls go to the place where there are no roads, that they are finally free to be who they are. It's mesmerizing. It's beautiful. It feels like abject nonsense, but it's also completely true. I don't know if there is a better way that I could have watched anime films for Pride Month this year. I'm sure that some of you in the comments are going to say things like, you should have watched Bloom Into You. Cele, why haven't you watched Bloom Into You? Seriously, you didn't even have to tell on yourself for not having watched Bloom Into You, but look, you did it. But on that same note, I'm just so happy that we have art like this, because the world is scary. The world makes the changes that we all need to face feel even more stifling, and especially my brothers and sisters in the LGBT community know what it's like right now to feel like the world is out to get you. To feel like the world is a goddamn meat grinder that's going to eat all of us alive, chew us up, spit us out, tell us that the dreams that we have aren't worth it, that we shouldn't put ourselves out and make the art we want to make the world we want to make the people we want to be. But even in that stifling suffering, even when the world is coming down around us, even when it feels like we're out of anything to hope for, in the surrounding destruction, in the wastelands of the world that we escape into, we can still create something beautiful and move forward into something more fulfilling, more true, and more us. I love both of these films, and unfortunately, when I'm recording this right now, you'll probably have missed a chance to see Adolescence of Utena on a big screen, and I'm sorry about that. But both of these TV shows and both of the films that they inspired, these films that I watched for Pride Month, are wonderful works of art that I think the world is better to have. And I really hope that you get a chance to enjoy them too. As always, keep on spocking in the free world. Shine on, you celestial beings. And happy Pride. Just another side note, just because I wanted to throw this in there, but I didn't have a spot in like the main rant comparing the two films where it really fit in. I have you wouldn't know it from how much I seem to like to hear myself talking, but I don't like my voice that much. I've got pretty bad vocal dysphoria because I feel like I'm pretty good at outfits. I'm pretty good at makeup. I have more wigs than I do friends, but I don't necessarily like my voice. I don't like the fact that it's not conforming with my gender presentation at all, and that sucks. And I'm not gonna lie, one of the things that I found a lot of comfort in during the Utena movie, I forgot that Aya Hisakawa's read as one of the boy duelists, Miki, is like not butch at all. Like her read as Karaberos in Cardcaptor Sakura is more typically masculine than her read as Miki, an actual 16, 17-year-old boy. So, I don't know. I found that really comforting for some reason. Maybe that's just a me thing. Anyway, as always, keep on spocking. I love you all. Well, I love 40% of you.
Did you fuck my mom?
What?